back again with a new video. So it's a couple days after the National, a couple days after the Soccer Card Expo, and this was my first year doing both of those. I had never done, I had never traveled, like really traveled for a card show. Probably the farthest was Nashville. My dad and I went to the Nashville card show several years ago. That was definitely the biggest card show I'd ever been to. Nothing really has touched that until this past weekend. So it was just a fantastic time meeting everybody, going out to dinner to Perry's Steakhouse was fantastic. And, being able to meet and talk to Al and Bill and Scott and Ed, just was fantastic. Meeting several other people from the Discord and, showing them the binder that I brought, a binder that I showed in the previous video. The top loader binder was awesome. Just everybody giving me feedback to my YouTube channel and like what I've been doing in the Discord was just a really good time. It was really awesome meeting everybody and being able to spend so much time with everybody in the National and at SoCo. So I have a bunch of stuff to show off because I picked some stuff up at the National. I picked some stuff up at SoCo. I was gifted a few things. Then came home and had, I don't know, like 20 packages to open up. And I still have to empty out my German mailbox, which will be, I don't know, a month from now. Probably. I'm waiting for a few things to get there. I have a few more deals in Europe to do. So I've been able to find a couple other cool things that'll be fun to show off soon. I have a package that Seb, was able to meet Seb, great guy, fantastic. I have a package coming from him of a few cards he was able to help me out with on Toto. That reminds me, I still need to make a payment to an Italian dealer. Yeah, I need to do that after this video. But so it was just fantastic meeting everybody. I have a bunch of stuff coming in. I have two packages. I have two packages coming in, and then a bunch of items here to show you. So it'll definitely take a while. But some of the things I've shown off in the Discord, some I haven't. Pretty much all the highlights I have. So we'll talk about everything. But here's the Soccer Expo VIP pass. I had a pretty good experience. Ed gifted us these water bottles at the dinner, which are just fantastic. So you have the 1926 Plus Ultra Orsi. You have the 1938 Cameler Sorosi, 27-28 crack of Andrade, 1935 Faberger of Diegne, 1925 Dixie Dean, 1924 the Spanish set for Nasazi, 1927 Lorati of Miaza, 1904 Cadles of Bloomer, and 1930 or 31 Greeling Sindelar, and 1936 Moreno. So for my collection, I need that card, that card, that card. So I need 3 of these. I don't have any cards on this water bottle, but for my collection, what I count as the earliest issue is the Dixie Dean, the Diegne. Andrade has 1924 issues. Orsi has a 1925 issue. I marked him off. Sorosi, you'll see that here in a little bit. Moreno, 1936. I count a postcard to be earlier than Sindelar. Miaza, this is his earliest, but It's out of my price range. Too many people want it. It teeters me away from wanting it. I have his 1929-30 postcard. I really like that card. So for me, that's the only Miyaza item I need for my collection. He has a better 1924 postcard out of France that I really like. Bloomer 1900, 1901. So yeah, really cool. I love that. It's probably going to be my my personal water bottle now. What I use and carry around. So first thing I did was when I walked into the National, I was going to meet Al in front of the PSA booth because I had sold him the 1948 Puskas. I was able to do a really great deal. Originally, for money and then trade, about $3,000 in trade. But, checking out everything he had for trade, I decided that I wanted to do more of a cash deal and then traded for this Cruyff, 1966. This has always been the item I've designated for Cruyff that I've wanted. So I'm super happy to finally cross his name off the list. This is one of, if not the earliest, cardboard issue of Cruyff. I know he has a 64 team photograph, like a team postcard. I know he might have a 1965. He has a 1965 like pin that's really, really common. And then you have like 1966. So this is fantastic. Super happy to have that. After meeting Al, so I got that later. I got that later at Soco, I believe. Or no, he gave me that at the National. So I gave him his card. We talked about doing another trade for another card from 1948 album. I wasn't giving up any player who I designated the card to be their earliest issue. So I have the remaining of the Hungarian team, except for the Sorosi. I traded the Sorosi because that's 48. He has a 38 issue. I traded the Sorosi for this postcard, which, I thought was a no-brainer. This is a magnificent, magnificent piece. Shows the whole 1937-38 team that toured Malta. This is one of my favorite pieces. So I'm super happy to have that. It crosses off every player from the team. Of course, I still want his 1938 card. I don't think I will ever hunt for it. Later down the line, if I win it at auction at Fanatics or on eBay, sure. But I don't think I'm going to hunt any of the cards from this team. He has a photo card, like a big photo issue that I would rather have than the card. And I know a couple of people who have it. So that would probably be what I would hunt for if I were to, but I don't see myself hunting for any of these players anymore since I have this. So that's awesome. But yeah, so I get into the National. I go to the second floor to go to the international tables. But I found a German seller who didn't really have much vintage, but he had these cards, which I already have, I think, all of them. But I got all three for $100. Felt fine to me. I didn't expect to see them. And $100 for the three, I felt good about. And then what? I was gifted this by Ed. I told him I didn't have a Alfred Schaefer. I've been holding out for the 1923 Spanish issue. So he gifted me this. That'll go into my album. Super stoked to have that. As a gift from a friend. So I need to put together a small folder of all because that's not the first free card that has gifted me. So great guy. I was so happy to meet him in person. We were able to talk throughout the day. We were able to talk at Soco. No, it was just it was a surreal moment. And I need to there were other people I met. There were other people at the dinner that I didn't see until later, or they were at the dinner, but we sat on different sides of the table, so we didn't really get to talk. Adam, great guy. Loved meeting him and seeing his collection, which was insane. He had some pieces that I'm still chasing after. He has some pieces that are probably out of my budget. 1953 Garincha, 1971 Zico. He had two of them. He had the two Zico rookies. So that was crazy. He had I think he had a Socrates. I can't remember. But, that's one I have, but that's put away. What else did he have? He had a bunch of Garinchas. He had a bunch of Pelés. Fantastic collection. He had some really cool Eusebios. Kaluna, 1954 rookie. Another one that I need to grab. And I'm sure I am forgetting. I should have took photographs for my own records. But yeah, so that was ridiculous. And I finally got to meet Champ, and that was fantastic. Such a great guy. I gave him one of my Anglo-American mausoleum cards from 1924-26. I have a big lot of those coming in. And so I was happy to give him one. No, I didn't give him one. I gave him a 1950s Gunnar Nordahl card that I thought he would appreciate. I gave Bill and Scott the Anglo-American mausoleum cards. So, no, it was just great meeting everybody. I'm going to probably keep saying that because it just was so great. So I was able to talk to Seb. Seb and Champ a good bit of the show. I was able to hang out around their booths. And yeah, I meant to go to the show more than I did. I went Thursday. I went Friday. Well, I went to the National Wednesday, and then I went to SoCo on Thursday. And I meant to go back on Friday, but something, I hung out with friends and overslept. I missed a breakfast that I was supposed to go to, and I just, wasn't feeling all that well. So I saw them Wednesday and Thursday. And I hope to go back again a year from now and do the exact same thing, and hopefully have more opportunity on picking up more cards and, having a better idea of what all I'm missing, because I have a bunch of items that I need to put into my Excel sheet, and I'm really behind. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. So at SoCo, I picked up from an Italian. So there was, I think, 6 tables that had vintage soccer, and one of them was an Italian table that Seb introduced me to. So I found this really cool John McEnroe 1979 sticker that I had been after. They don't pop up all that well. It seems that you can punch it out. So I got that. And then I got these 3 cards from the 1946 Nanina set. Same sheet as the Puskas. I want to get, I think there are 6 Hungarian, 6 with the yellow background. So Toth, Sueza, and Zillinger. I'd been after this card for a while. This was one of the cards I was going to trade for with Al, but decided that I was going to be able to find it for a cheaper price. And yeah, so I got these 3 cards and the McEnroe for about $370. Fantastic. Super happy with that. That was one of the cards I wanted to walk away from with at the show. And then I bought this at the National, so I forgot. Fritz Pollard. I've been after this card for a while. This is one of, I think, 2 1936 cards. This is his earliest card. Famous Olympian, Hall of Fame football player. Just happy to cross his name off the list. This card I've lost at auction a lot. And then I traded a card that we won't talk about. But I traded another card to Al because I knew he wanted it. It doesn't cross any names off the list. I still need the player because the 48 Mexico piece wasn't his earliest. And I feel good about the trade because I got these 4 cards. I've been wanting an Ibrahimovic rookie for so long, and his prices just keep going up and up and up every single year. And a PSA 4 is just this is a great card. So I'm super happy to have this finally. Another rookie that I just haven't picked up, so I was happy to get this. Passarella's rookie. And this is probably not his earliest Corbeta, but people talk about that he might have a 55 or a 56. I know he definitely has a 57, but this is always one that stood out. The back is thrashed, but the front looks really good. So I'm super happy with all 4 of these. It was really like I really wanted this. And I valued the card at about, I don't know. To be honest, I don't really know what all 4 of these were worth together. But I felt good with it. These are 4 players that I didn't have in my collection. Now they're crossed off. The Corbetta is probably crossed off. I don't like the 57 issue. I definitely like this. And it's got a low pop for sure. So happy to get that. And I think those are all my pickups from the National and Soccer Card Convention. I don't think I picked up anything else. I'm pretty sure. So when we go through all the items, just in case I forget, I'll point it out. But I came home to tons of packages. I sold the Puskas. I bought a lot of cards. Was able to find a lot of items on my list. And one of the first items that I found was the 1933 Libo Littleville album. And so I have it wrapped up. I have been after this album for so long. Like, just a ridiculous amount of time. As in, I've only been collecting soccer for about 2.5 months now. 2.5 years now. But as soon as I figured out that there were Czech albums, I wanted the earliest Czech album that I could possibly get my hands on, and hit 1933 Libo Littleville football album. This is the first edition. This is the Czech edition because it is also written in German. It is 100% complete, maybe missing 1 or 2 cards. I'm not totally sure. I haven't looked at the checklist, but it has every player I was wanting from the album. It seems that there's 1 player on my list that does appear in the Libo Littleville albums, but I guess he starts appearing in Series 2, so I will need to find that only card. I will have to contact the Czech seller in the Discord to see if he can find me a single copy of that 1 player. But I don't need the Firth. I don't need the 1934 the Firth album. I don't need Series 2 from 1934. I don't need Series 3 from 1936. If one of those albums fall into my lap, sure. I'm not going to go hunting for it. I am happy that this marks pretty much every Czech player from my list. Besides the ones that have the 1926 Greelings, like Planenka and Kata. But it opens up like that. And here you have the list of teams that appear in the album. Sparta Praha, Slavia Praha, Victoria Žižkov, Bohemians Praha, Victorian Plzeň. So just all the teams you'd want. And I'll show you the pages for Sparta and Slavia. So they are really glued in. I'm going to have to take the album to a paper conservationist in order to remove everything, because I do not feel like I'll be able to remove any of these stickers without damaging the album. But you have Kata, Oldrich, which that's a key card I've wanted for a long time. Raymond Brain, that's one of the key cards. Jaroslav Berger. And then we flip to the Slavia page. So you have Planenka, Anton Puck. But I am so happy to have the first edition 1933 cards and album. So it'll definitely be a journey getting these off the album. It'll be good. Super happy with that. The second big pickup was a lot of albums from Sporting Gold, and the key album in the lot was this 1943 football album out of Denmark. So this is actually a lot smaller than I was thinking, but the cards are the same. I've handled the cards before because I have several, but I didn't have the two I wanted the most, which includes the Gunnar Nordahl, his earliest card from 1943. These actually had tabs, and fortunately, this album has two cards that has the tab, including the second best card in the set, the Gunnar Grin. This is an amazing copy. It has the tab still intact, and I couldn't really ask for a better album out of Europe. This is just a fantastic thing. So I'm happy to have that. That album came with a bunch of empty albums, which are still really cool, because I do like albums. I do like the fact that they're already empty. So this is definitely a plus. That's an album that I actually already have, so I'm happy to have one that doesn't have cards in it, and another one. So, and then I won a Dutch lot of a few albums where there were some unexpected surprises. So I have a few cards from this set. I'm happy to have a complete album. And this album was the reason I picked it up. I thought the cards were glued in. They are not glued in. I've already taken out my favorite cards, but you can see that the corners are actually folded in to little pockets where you can slide the cards out. But yeah, another album that I've had my eye on that's super cheap that you could get whenever you want. I think it's graded 1932, but it's absolutely a 1936 album. It's 1936 issue. And I have several of these that are not glued in album. Those are the albums I picked up that came in the mail. And then I had a bunch of packages from a Canadian seller who's been just awesome. I had mentioned, I think 2 videos ago, that I had a series of packages that were supposed to come in that were like waiting to come in because I had to finish the deal because of the Puskas sale. And then he sent me the rest of the cards, which were just in an assortment of South American issues, I think mainly from Uruguay, some from Argentina. And so here are a bunch of commons, lesser players from the 1942 Glorieta set, Fabrica Glorieta set that features the 1942 South American tournament. So Peru, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, there's some key players. But, you really just take whatever players from this album, and plus these are all in great condition. But yeah, so I got a bunch of those, and then what are these though? Got some 1933 cards. From Uruguay, I haven't been able to tell which players are which. Can't find a checklist. Some of the cards came with the sticky notes with the players labeled. Here are the key players that I've picked out. That's really cool. Angel Romano. That might be my only Romano card in my collection. And then a bunch of other non-sleeved cards. That I need to go through and figure out what player, but I can't find a checklist. Which is fine. You know, I'm sure there's not going to be any, you know, markers off the list. I'm just happy to have representation of those sets in my collection. And then, you know, miscellaneous South American, European cards. I'll take comments from this set whenever I find them. I had several from him. Got 3 more. A bunch more from that set we talked about a couple videos ago. Shoot. A few Greelings. I think because of the Fanatics auction, I just saw that there's some Shulk 04 players. Decided to go through the Greeling set and see which players showed up in the Shulk 04 team. So they won, I think, 4 championships in the 1930s, maybe 5. They were probably the most dominant team because they showed up in, I think, 3 additional German finals. I think I'm going to try to grab and pick up all the Shulk 04 Greeling cards I can get. You can try to, you know, that's like a small mission, complete that, you know, mini set. And also the Southampton 1902 F series out of Ogden's. I think I want to grab all the players from that team as well. So I now have 2 of those. The Alf Common from 1902 out of F series. I think that's his earliest card. He was a part of that team, or Sheffield United. I can't remember. So I want to complete that, the F series, those 2 teams. I think that would be fun. But yeah, so here's some. And then that really cool Bruna. So that was the South American packet, the South American cards, a few European cards sprinkled in. That came from the Canadian seller. I found the complete set from 1968 out of Japan. I don't know the name. I think it's some Trump deck. But the Shonen Trump 1968 set. Found the complete set, you know, all the baseball players, sumo wrestlers, artists, film stars. This is the earliest set that shows soccer players from Japan, you know, card related set. And it also has probably the most famous, most important, you know, pre-2000s Japanese player, which you'll see in a little bit because I have a bunch of the cards slabbed up. But here are all the cards protected. I think I got the whole set for a little bit over $300, which is crazy because some of the baseball players go for well over $800. But I'm happy to have a complete set of this. Because there were a bunch of names I wanted from this set. One of these guys is like the father of manga. And I forget who. But he's definitely in the set, so I have him. And then all the baseball players. I'm happy to have the box with that. I got in my Russian package that had the 1975 like photo card set that features Blokin, Oleg Blokin. So this is the complete set. I got this plus a bunch of photographs and postcard, like team postcards from the 40s for I don't know, like $120. There's the Blokin. So that's really, really cool. So here's a collection of stuff that I picked up from Del Campe. Some of them came together, some of them didn't. I'm not going to go into depth like what came and shipped together or like from what seller each one came from, but we'll just talk about the items. So here's a early 1940s photograph of DeRoy and Haydn. So that's really, really cool. '12 Barcelona postcard. These have always captivated me, so I finally pulled the trigger on this one because I found an earlier one from 1910 that had been a big want because it scratched off a bunch of players. So that player, Brew, and Forns. So that's really awesome. This was issued for Sindelar, the same year as his death, as like a remembrance piece. I remember Scott posting it, and I was thinking that was really cool, and I wanted one someday. And I ended up getting this for like $5. Nobody else bid. I thought, I was ready to pay a couple $100. Nobody put in a bid. I won it for pennies. This is weird. So this is probably nothing. I had somebody on the Discord, we were talking, and he brought up this photo. And he's wondering that the middle guy, if it's Pachichi. And, I was like, it definitely could be. It definitely could be. Scott brought up the thing, and he was like, why is he wearing gloves? So I don't think it is. And I didn't think of anything of it after that conversation. And then a week later, I'm looking at Toto, and I see the photograph. He didn't end up buying it. It was like €4. And I was like, let's just take a chance. I don't think it's him, so I wasted €4. But, who knows? They look very similar. But Seb and Scott don't think it's him. I'm on that same, thought. The reasoning is sound. It's probably not him. So that will just be protected and placed into a box unlabeled. This just came with the rest of the Russian pieces from Ukraine. '47, I believe. Dynamo Moscow. So that's really cool. Couple postcards from Japan. So 1917, but it features that guy whose name I forget. I should have taken notes. He is one of the most legendary martial artists of all time. He started a specific, shoot, I'm spacing. But yeah, so I've wanted him for a long time, and I was able to pick up 3 pieces that feature him. So one during, when he was alive, and he was super important to the introduction of modern games in Japan. He was basically the father of Olympics for Japan. He got Japan to the Olympics. And yeah, so he's the main reason how sports are in Japan. How they are today. Oh, judo. He was the father of judo. So these were made as commemorative pieces after his passing in the 1930s. So I think, I can't remember. So yeah, so I was super stoked to have that 1946 photograph featuring Ferenc Puskas and Ferenc Dink. So I had the 1948 card of Puskas, and I was getting rid of it. And at the same time, this popped up, and so I was happy to basically replace the card with this photograph. So there's Puskas in the middle. And it's a happy surprise that Ferenc Dink, a player who I have not found any cardboard of, shows up right here. He just isn't featured in any set. Even though he played like a little bit into the 50s, just not for the correct teams. A couple eBay pickups. I come to learn that this, what is it, Schultz playing card set is actually from 1933, which for Edmund Conan predates what I thought his earliest cards were, which is 1934. So this is 1933 card of Edmund Conan. Super young. Got that information from Nick out of the Discord, German cards. Here are a few interesting pieces out of China. So you have Zidane and another player who I forget his name. But these were ordered probably like January. And I just thought they weren't missing. They were a couple bucks a piece. But those actually showed up. And then here's some photographs that came with the Russian stuff. I think it's Igor Belanov. From 1985. So those are a lot of fun. I helped a person in the Discord, JT. I helped him get one of his most wanted items. It kind of maybe perchance looks like I will be getting even more cards from this set. We'll see. I'll talk about it in a later video. But 1933 Itis. It's not a set that I chase after. It's not a set that I'm like, oh my goodness, I need these cards. I was looking for something else out of Austria. And the person that I talked to had probably the most sought after European issue ever. It's the 1933 Itis album. He had the album, which is uncalled, just ridiculous. It was incomplete. I think there were like 80, 85 cards in the album. It had the ones you would want, the majority of the ones you would want. So yeah, so I got, I helped him with that. I got several cards for myself for free. 3 players from a Jewish team out of Vienna. And then Adolf Vogel. So I'm really happy with this. It kind of sounds like I'll be getting even more from another thing that I'm doing. So we'll see. It would be really cool. But yeah, we'll just see what happens. And then, so a bunch of other cards we'll talk about. So an 1899 Ogden of Ernst Nedham. This is his earliest. This came from the Sporting Gold auction. Super clean card. In English, Grail, I would say. You know, since Grail loosely thrown around, of course, I say it all the time. It doesn't cover just one card. It covers, you know, several cards from every country. This was unexpected, 1988 Peter Schmeichel rookie. I've been after this card for a good long while, ever since I found out it existed. So I'm happy to have that. I bought it immediately. Like I was like sold as soon as it came up on the Discord. So I'm happy to have that. Here are 2 cards. Here are the 2 soccer players whose names I forget. But this one was on my all-time top 20 want list. So I am now down to 14 players. I've picked up 6. I am now down to 14. I went on a little shopping spree. I bought 6 cards from Comp C. Here are 2 of them, both rookies. Been wanting a copy of each of these for a while. The Shevchenko 97 calendar. This is the, you know, the 97s are for sure his earliest cards that are known right now. So happy to have that. Here are the other 4 cards from Comp C. Billy Bremner out of 1963 with a clean back. This is probably one of the best examples of this card I've seen. Peter Cech, his earliest from 2001. Salif Keita out of 1970. I think. I know this is his earliest. And then Edison Cavani, 2006, 2007 rookie. He has a straight up 2006 card as well. But this card and that card are considered his rookie cards. So I still need that card, but I'm happy to have that one. None of those were expensive. I mean, they added up all together, but it doesn't matter. And then here are the cards that I took out of that Dutch album I showed earlier from the 50s. They are in immaculate condition. That's why I magged them up. There's the Abelenstra, probably the key card in the album. This is like an amazing copy. And the Dick Korver, way past his playing days. But I have his, you know, only playing day card from 1912-14, sometime around there. And then here's, the Schmeichel rookie and this 1901 McPherson card came up at the same time by the same seller, Chris from the Discord. And I just was like, you know what? Sold. So I put sold on both, bought them pretty much as soon as he listed them. I bought them both that day. So yeah, that's what I have to show off for my pickups. Super happy with everything. I feel really good about what I picked up. Feel really good about what all I have coming in, what all, you know, other things that I am getting. I met a lot of good people this past weekend. Talked about a lot of finds, about a lot of things that I'm searching for, about a lot of things that I think exist, about several things that I know exist. I just have to find them. And yeah, it's just a really, really good time. So I appreciate everybody I met. I hope to see even more people next year. I hope to convince some people to go to the Milan show in January, because I hope to make that a reality and do that. You know, strike off more pre-modern wants from the 60s all the way up to the 90s, mainly in Italy, since the show's in Italy. But yeah, you know, we'll just see what we can find. I need to go through and make a PDF file and print that out of pictures of the cards that I'll be chasing after. But yeah, so it was great meeting you, Ed, Seb, Scott, Bill, Al, Adam, Champ. It was just an amazing time meeting everybody. And if I forgot you, that's on me. If I just forgot your name, I talked to a bunch of people. It was just a fantastic time. So yeah, so that'll end everything. If you have any questions, message me. Everything I showed off, nothing's for sale, I don't think. I have some doubles coming in. I don't know. Yeah, so if you just want to message me, go for it. I'll take any feedback. Yeah. All right. Peace.